Hey, welcome to Facts at Five, everyone. I'm Michael Clark, and I'm here at the LTV Media Center in Wayne Scott, New York, with East Hampton Town Supervisor Peter Van Scoyoc. Welcome, Peter.
Hi, Michael. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. So,
Great.
so Peter, over 8 million doses of the vaccine have been administered in New York, and according to the governor's website, the distribution network is steadily getting shots into people's arms all across the state. But he reminds us that we need to be mindful that we are still in a foot race between the infection rate, the virus rate, and the variants. And you've been saying that all along. And it also says that he's quoted saying the progress we've made is only as lasting as the continued vigilance. Community behavior matters. And so maybe I'm looking at it too hard, but it seems to me that when driving through the streets already, maybe it's spring fever or whatever the case may be, I'm noticing a lot more people without masks. And I'm just was wondering, what are your concerns?
Well, I think, letting down our guard at this critical point would be a huge mistake. The virus is still all through the community, just waiting to infect people. And, transmission rates have gone up slightly in Suffolk County. Dr. Fauci said as a country, we've kind of hit a plateau. And, past experience has shown that plateaus precede spikes and additional waves. It's really important that we continue getting people vaccinated and stay safe while we're doing that, so that we can knock out this disease before variants that may not be maybe resistant to the vaccine develop. And then where are we? This nightmare continues. So we need to take some personal responsibility and make sure that we're not becoming lax. And we've seen some outbreaks here in town. We've even had some town employees that contracted the disease recently after almost a year of no infection. So this is definitely not the time to let down one's guard.
Yeah, and I get it. I have, I've gotten both shots, and I'm like, yeah, and they haven't released any new guidelines with the CDC with, that focus on those that are vaccinated, except for the few that we've already talked about, that they can get people that have been vaccinated and get together in a room together or whatever. But it's really easy just to let your guard down without even realizing that you are. So it's good that we remind people that stay the course, man. It's gonna happen at some point. But yeah, I have noticed that a lot more, because we've been really good, when driving through the towns and driving through the villages. Pretty much everybody's masked up, and you're starting to see little bits and pieces smattering to people here and there. So without a doubt, we need to stay the course. And of course, you have the vaccination, centers up and running. We got another course going over on Saturday. And how's the future of that looking, Peter? I know that
it's looking really good. We are entering a time now where the vaccine supply is becoming more regular and steady, and I've had assurances from the county and the state that we will have access to more consistent allotments of the vaccine here for our site. We still will be needing to outreach the community for more volunteers, I think, as this continues to progress. We've had a really overwhelming outpouring originally, and but we will still need to rotate in volunteers. And anybody who hasn't already registered at the town site, ehtownvaccine.org, please do so if you haven't been vaccinated. And by pre-registering, you can get your information on a list, so that when we do get future allotments, we will schedule clinics and can get you vaccinated. So that's ongoing.
Now, in terms of the town site, Peter, where are we at with who's getting called? I know it's different in different places with CVS, and different states. Certainly, it's different. Where are we at in the town of East Hampton site?
So one of the really big improvements in the whole distribution of vaccine, in my opinion, was that they finally lifted the restrictions that tied certain allotments to certain eligibility groups. So now anyone who's eligible can receive a vaccine with any particular allotment. So that really frees us up. We did go back to our first responders and school teachers within town to see if there were any remaining that hadn't been vaccinated that wanted to be vaccinated at our site. So we prioritized them. And then beyond that, we have a number of seniors still unvaccinated. We're looking at those most at risk to prioritize. And, then it's kind of first come, first serve after that.
Right, but is there an age?
So the age, eligibility has changed in a downward fashion. Originally, it was 75 and over, then it was 65 and over. Now it was 60, now it's at 50. So, the age group of eligibility is continuing to be lowered as we move forward. And then there are all the other eligibility groups, front-facing employees, so we'll have hotel workers, deli workers, town employees. I'm hoping to finish vaccinating the rest of our public-facing town employees so we can get our clerk's office open directly to the public. That's something that would be a huge benefit, I think, to us as well as the townspeople, obviously.
Yeah.
So we could have some in-person filing of permits and whatnot. We're coming into the permit season. So I think that, within a couple of weeks, we should be able to open up the clerk's office to direct public visits and some of the other departments shortly following.
Great. That sounds really wonderful. So let's take a little turn in a completely different direction. I was reading the news this morning, and Governor Cuomo said that on Wednesday. He said that legal weed, marijuana, cannabis, is the first priority on the state's upcoming budget. He sees it as being able to drive revenues without a doubt, and all kinds of jokes will come along with that, and everything that goes along. But places such as the Wall Street Journal report that New York is poised to become the 15th state to legalize cannabis, and lawmakers likely will vote next week on a measure that takes effect by next year, according to Wall Street Journal. And they said that the soon-to-be finalized bill would create a new state regulator for cannabis products. So they probably, in association with the state liquor authority, I would think, and it would decriminalize the possession of up to 3 ounces of marijuana and allow New Yorkers to cultivate marijuana for their own personal use. But one of the other things that goes along with that is the possibilities, and I believe this is driven down to the municipality level of whether or not they would allow, retail stores or places that where you can consume. And my understanding is, and this is all brand new, and I don't even know if you even have an opinion on it, but the where do you think? What's your opinion on that? Anyway, I guess is the best way to put it.
Well, I think with the pandemic and the economic impacts that you can see, many states that were considering cannabis are leaning more towards approving that type of legislation to gain another revenue source. So, I kind of understand that. On the other hand, I don't really know how I feel about having pot stores popping up in town. I do believe in decriminalization, and I think relaxing the rules for home growing or home use, whatever, is one thing. Not really sure I'm all that thrilled about the commercialization of it at this point. I haven't really spent too much time focusing on it in the last year. Obviously, our priorities have been a little different.
Yeah.
So I haven't really gotten into the weeds, if you will, and on legislation.
Well, I think, you start to wonder about the politics of it all. And, I can say it, but you can't, is, whether or not the, that this, I put up a new background for you.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah. whether or not this is being done to kind of take, the pressure off of the direction of the governor as it is these days. But he has been talking about it for a long time. So I just think it's interesting in terms of, retail and just really just bottom line, money that could come into individual areas based on that. But I guess the finer point is, whether, how much of that you want associated with the town and the way the town is and the way the way the optics of the town, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really see it as a public benefit, if you will. I mean, I do think, again, decriminalization or, allowing people to grow their own is probably acceptable. I don't really think I have a problem with that. But, again, I see it as a source of revenue. And I think that's really what is drawing, legislators and the governor towards this,
Right.
As a revenue source, a major revenue source to make up for some of the budget shortfalls. So, I haven't spent a great deal of time studying it. Again, I don't know how I feel about having a bunch of pot stores opening up all around town, but
you don't want Hampton's weed or, own
Hampton's hemp and
Hampton's hemp. There you go. All right.
Gansett ganja.
See,
yeah, I don't know. We should put together a joint task force. Right?
There you go.
To look at the matter, and then maybe there'll be a public referendum. the terrible puns just keep on rolling, right?
I know they're gonna. Oh, yeah, yeah. They'll keep coming, I'm sure. Anyway, I just thought it was an interesting piece of news out there today. Any final thoughts for you, Peter, this week?
Well, spring is approaching, and I think the ospreys are returning from their winter migration back north, and I think it's a great time of year. Again, as you get outdoors, enjoy the outdoors, but just keep in mind that we're not quite through this contagion yet, and just be safe and be careful, and hopefully it's just all positive news from here on out.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, we've run out of time for this week, Peter, and thank you once again for stopping in and sharing your thoughts with us. And we'll see you again, hopefully next week.
My pleasure, Michael. Thanks for having me.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.